Please stand by. Good morning. This webcast is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Mark Robinson. Please go ahead, sir.
Good morning. It is now 10 a.m. and I call the GameStop 2023 Annual Meeting of Stockholders to order. I'm Mark Robinson, GameStop's General Manager. Ryan Cohen, our Executive Chairman and a member of the company's Board of Directors, presides at this meeting and has asked me to conduct this meeting. Please note that any electronic recording or live streaming of this meeting is prohibited. Before we get started with procedural matters, I would like to turn it over to Ryan to say a few words.
Thanks, Mark, and hi, everyone. I will speak briefly. My father always told me, talk is cheap, actions speak louder than words. My responsibility is making sure GameStop is run by managers who treat company money like their own. In corporate America, the people in charge, the professional directors and management teams, are not aligned with shareholders. They are always the recipient of stock grants. However, they rarely purchase company shares with their own savings. There's a big difference between risk-free compensation for showing up and putting a meaningful amount of your own money at risk. As a result, money is wasted, work is delegated, and a lot of time is spent managing to short-term expectations and pandering to Wall Street. I like people who roll up their sleeves and do real work. People guided by principles, not robots who seek to rest and vest. In corporate America, there's no shortage of overpaid executives, bad capital allocation and chronic waste, and serial delegators. As much as this behavior is both predictable and reprehensible, it is precisely what creates opportunities. Thank you for being a shareholder.
Thanks, Ryan. The rules of conduct and the agenda for today's meeting are posted on the virtual meeting portal. In order to conduct an orderly and efficient meeting, we ask that participants abide by the rules. Michael Verrecchia of Morrow Sodali has been appointed to act as the Inspector of Election for this meeting. Mr. Verrecchia took an oath of inspection of election prior to the meeting. We also have members of our Board of Directors participating today, as well as members of our management and representatives from Deloitte & Touche LLP, our independent registered public accounting firm. Although Deloitte & Touche LLP has indicated that it does not wish to make a statement, the representative is available to respond to appropriate questions during the question and answer period. If any stockholders here today have not yet voted and would like to do so, you may submit your vote during this meeting until the polls are announced closed. April 21st, 2023 was set by resolution of the Board of Directors as the record date for today's annual meeting. All stockholders of record or their proxy holders at the close of business on April 21st, 2023 are entitled to vote at the annual meeting. We have made available for inspection a listing of stockholders as of the record date at our corporate office in accordance with the requirements of Delaware General Corporation Law. Notice of this meeting was duly given in accordance with the company's bylaws and Delaware law. We received an affidavit from Broadridge Financial Services certifying that the notice of annual meeting and proxy statement were sent to stockholders beginning on May 2nd, 2023. The affidavit is available for inspection by any stockholder upon request and will be filed with the company's records. At the close of business on April 21, 2023, the record date for this meeting, there were 304,717,030 shares of the company's Class A common stock, with one vote per share identified as outstanding and entitled to vote on all matters presented at this meeting. There are present at this meeting, in person or by proxy, more than a majority of all the shares entitled to cast votes at this meeting. Based on confirmation by the Inspector of Election, I find that a quorum is present and this meeting is duly constituted for the transaction of business. Each of the matters to be considered today is described in the proxy statement, which was made available as described in the Notice of Annual Meeting. The proxy statement has been filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission and can be found on the Securities and Exchange Commission's website and our website. The first item on our agenda is the election of 5 directors, with each to serve as a director until the annual meeting of stockholders in 2024 and until his or her successor is duly elected and qualified. The company's nominees are Mr. Attell, Mr. Chang, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Gruby, and Ms. Zhu. The second item on our agenda is the proposal to approve, on a non-binding advisory basis, the compensation of the named executive officers of the company. The third item on our agenda is the proposal to approve, on a non-binding advisory basis, the frequency of advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers of the company. The fourth item on our agenda is the ratification of the Audit Committee's appointment of Deloitte & Touche LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the company's fiscal year ending February 3rd, 2024. No stockholder director nominations or other stockholder proposals were properly submitted under SEC Rule 14a-8 or in accordance with the company's advance notice or proxy access bylaw provisions. It is now 10:07 a.m. I declare that the polls are now open, and I will now call a vote on the 4 proposals. The polls will be open until the conclusion of any questions related to the specific matters under consideration at this meeting. We will now use this time to answer any stockholder questions on the specific matters under consideration at this meeting. You may submit questions through the meeting portal. Okay, I do see a few questions here just related to Mr. Furlong's departure and then also the company's withdrawal of his nomination. So I'll try to touch on that briefly. As it relates to his departure, we don't speak on personnel matters other than to indicate that Mr. Furlong's employment was terminated and he resigned from the board. I will say with Ryan becoming executive chair, we feel very strongly that we have the right leadership structure in place to drive efficiency in this business. As it relates to the withdrawal of Mr. Furlong's nomination, I think it's clear that Mr. Furlong's termination and resignation, that it does not make sense for the company to support his nomination. Again, though, given Ryan's new role as part of management, we continue to believe management's perspective, and frankly, and more importantly, shareholders' perspective will be actively represented. Okay, I also see a number of questions just regarding direct registration of shares, short interest, and a number of similar topics. I don't have too much to say on that. We do continue to be supportive of our retail shareholders and have increased our disclosures related to direct registration for that reason. And then again, some questions also about vote counts and share counts. Again, I don't have too much to say about that either, other than to note, as with prior years, we'll file an 8-K with the final tally showing the aggregate vote totals. And then the total number of shares outstanding is included in our quarterly reports. Okay, going through the questions that have been submitted, I'm not seeing anything further in terms of questions germane to the meeting. So anyone who wishes to change their previous vote who has not yet voted and wants to vote should at this time cast their vote electronically. All right, it is now 10:11 a.m. and I declare the polls are now closed. Inspector, please tabulate the votes on all of the proposals.
Thank you, Mark. I am pleased to report the results of the proposals as follows. 1. Mr. Attal, Mr. Chang, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Grube, and Ms. Zhu have each received a majority of the votes cast, and they have been elected directors. 2. The non-binding advisory vote on the compensation of the named executive officers of the company has been approved by a majority of the shares present or represented by proxy and entitled to vote on this proposal. 3. The non-binding advisory vote on the frequency of advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers of the company of 1 year has been approved by a majority of the shares present or represented by proxy and entitled to vote on this proposal. And 4, the ratification of our audit committee's appointment of Deloitte & Touche as our independent registered public accounting firm for our fiscal year ending February 3rd, 2024 has been approved by a majority of the shares present or represented by proxy and entitled to vote on this proposal.
Thank you, Michael. I am not aware of any other business that should be brought before this meeting. This concludes the business of this meeting, and the annual meeting of stockholders is now adjourned. Thank you for your attendance and participation. We appreciate all the passion and support you, our stockholders, have for GameStop. This webcast will now end.
This does conclude today's webcast. Thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.
try.